cheeseburger out of the trash.
No. Has anybody?
Now, fucking at this point, SoCal Chris had eaten a burger, but he didn't finish it because he didn't like it. So he put it in the trash, and we saw SoCal Chris throw it in the trash.
Anybody? Or is this a meme that I missed?
Well, I don't know if it's a meme, but Mumkey Jones was on my stream last night, and he said yes, he would, because he really loves cheeseburgers. So that's
I love cheeseburgers too, in spite of myself, because I'm becoming a fat old man. But no, I would not pick it out of a dumpster, unless I was flat broke. I don't begrudge somebody who's flat broke.
He waddles over. Watch his hand. Watch this hand right here. He's walking over to Andy slowly, very slowly. He puts his hand in his pocket. You can see him fishing around in his pocket. He picks the burger wrapper out of his pocket and puts it in his hand. He never bought that burger, and he never bought it in the store. He never went in the store. He came from the bathroom directly and walked past the trash. He was already eyeing the burger when Chris was eating it. This fucking dude literally took a fucking piece of a burger that Chris ate out of the bathroom and literally stole it and put it in his pocket. Put it out of his pocket and said, "Oh, just put a piece of burger." Now you see him, he's opening it. He's about to stuff it in his mouth. Now let's just speed it up.
Home tomorrow.
Look at him. He's opening the burger right now.
Ow! What the fuck?
What fucking burger place puts a little tiny piece of a burger in a giant wrapper like that? It was already eaten. This motherfucker took the burger out of the trash.
Ow! What the
Look at him. He's about to stuff it in his fucking mouth. He's eyeing the burger.
I shaved my chest. Look.
Look at him. He's ashamed. He knows he took it out of the trash.
It's kind of dark.
Look.
No, you can't do that on stream.
Then he ate it.
Whoa.
Then he comes up to Andy. I took a bit of a burger.
Pump the gas. Let's go. Are we done? Stupid fucking pumping gas is what I'm paying for. Pumping gas.
I just got a free cheeseburger bite in there. I just picked it up and ate it.
He never went in the store. He literally took it from the fucking trash can. It's disgusting.
Is it a meme?
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That was a clip put together by T-Clips, featuring our dear friend Ethan Ralph, the Gunt, taking what appears to be a cheeseburger out of the trash can, stuffing his mouth, and devouring it. Apparently, this happened, and I don't really have a reason to believe otherwise, to be frank. As I said, I'd promise I'd play that clip if I found it, and yeah, that's pretty gross. I think it might be a new low for Ralph, but I don't know. All right, but speaking of new lows, got a bit to talk about tonight. I know I said that there would be some discussion about Andy's melting down, which he's kind of melting down every day, so there's a lot to keep track of. Alliances keep on shifting and ebbing and flowing that if I don't pay attention for like 20 minutes, I miss an entire plot line that just goes nowhere or somewhere. So we'll just call it relevantly as they come. Someone's telling me my mic needs to be turned up. I'll see if I can do that. Give me a second. Okay. Is this better or no? All right, let me see what else I can do here. Okay, that's about it. A little more. All right, let me see if we can do that. Always appreciate people telling me if there's some audio issue I can fix or whatever. Give me one quick sec. Okay, should be good now. If it's too low or too loud, let me know. Okay, good, excellent. All right, so now that that's fixed, we can get on with the show and go to talk about Ralph more. And as the stream, as the title indicates, actually, I should make a correction there. Actually, I wanted to avoid this specifically, but give me a moment. The original title says Zoom swats Ralph. No, I don't agree with that. Like, there's been a lot of dilution of that term to mean like, oh, any phone call to the police whatsoever is a SWAT attempt. But no, swatting has a very specific meaning to it, and we'll get to that in a moment. So, let me just put this correct this real quick. All right, much better. So let's go over what's been happening with the context for Zoom versus Ralph, and we've covered some of this before in previous episodes. And since then, like basically Ralph and Zoom had a falling out, mainly because Zoom kind of wanted to like fuck with Ralph a little bit to kind of boost numbers, create some tension and drama on the show on the air. Ralph didn't like that. This led to Ralph acted really overly hostilely and kind of sporadically against Zoom. Zoom didn't take well of this, so he started to fuck with Ralph some more, and he started pointing out a lot of his hypocrisy and such like that. We learned that Ralph was holding a gay ops server himself, and that he was at least a part of that. To what extent, we're still not certain of. And also, this escalated into all kinds of stuff involving the two of them going back and forth. To give you an idea of what this has been like, I actually have a clip from Cog's stream, which seems that Cog's getting the best moments where Ralph's spurting out in general. And let's go to that here. This is from Stream Clips, and let me just switch to that real quick. Here we go. And we're going to listen to some of that right now. So here we go.
I literally donate all my super chats and all of my winnings to fucking charity. I'm not a fucking.
Yeah. So what did I say? I was money hungry, Zoom. You want to know the truth?
When are you not?
Actually, I actually recorded the conversation when you were talking to the StreamMe admin, and you were saying the only way you were feeding your fat face was through the
I don't eat
contest.
fucking hamburgers out of the trash.
No. You said the only
Ralph,
way
I thought you went into the store.
No, the only way you were making ends meets. The only way you were making ends meet through with it. You can keep talking on me, whatever. The only way you were making ends meet. Fuck off. No, fuck off. Yeah, fuck off. Yeah. So this is why I don't even want to talk to the guy, Cog, because you can't. You won't moderate whatsoever.
Why did you eat a hamburger out of the trash? You never went in that store.
It wasn't out of the trash.
You never went into that store.
It was a hamburger bite from the store.
You pulled a hamburger bite out of your pocket after you crossed the street. I played the entire thing.
That's not true.
Last night. Yes,
no,
it is.
I pulled a hamburger bite. Who gives a fuck if I ate it off some?
Yeah,
even I can say from watching the stream myself as moderation that definitely there's a good chunk of time between Andy walking out of the store. Ralph goes off to the side to munch onto his nachos, but there's a good 5 minutes or so where he could have
never goes into the store.
You don't see him. You can't even see the front of the.
No, I gotta disagree with Cog on this one. There was no time for Ralph to have gone to the store. Ralph went in a very specific direction to the bathroom. He came out and he grabbed what he calls a hamburger bite. And Ralph's claiming that, oh, well, I bought it from the store, or I stole it from the store, whichever one store he wants to go with. But nobody sells a hamburger. Am I mistaken here? Do they sell hamburger bites down south? Just pieces of hamburger? Like, is this a thing? Because where I'm from, you just buy whole burgers or you don't. So, no, I don't believe this for 1 second. Like, I think Cog made a wrong call here. I think he's just trying to be nice to Ralph. That's my take on that. And also, you can, but let's just keep going.
Let me ask you about something, because I have the conversation recorded, and it's Zoom saying,
you recorded too.
Yeah, okay, well, record it, faggot. I'm saying I have the conversation recorded where you said, "Oh, I need the stream money to make ends meet, and I'm not getting any contracts anymore." You're fucking poor. You're fucking broke.
You're the one living with your mother when you're 30.
You're a federal fucking snitch. You're a fucking snitch.
Why is your wife living in a different country while you live with your
So what? Oh, Oh, guess where your girlfriend lives? Guess where your girlfriend lives? Oh, overseas.
Yeah, and when she's not overseas,
and guess what? You pay thousands of dollars to keep her up, and she never even fucking touches you, sucks your dick, even gives you a look. She lives in Europe. You have nothing. Oh, are you gonna deny it? Are you gonna deny it?
Weeks ago, Ralph.
Now, as you can hear here, Ralph is really drunk. I mean, like drunk off his ass, like completely. And while he has some barbs at Zoom here, like clearly Zoom is accusing him of not being with Nora, and how Nora's in how their relationship is very weird, which it is. But at the same time, Zoom's leaving out that he's kind of in a similar set of circumstances, and Ralph's kind of using that back at him. But again, the delivery's just completely off because Ralph can't keep composure while drunk, and very few people are able to do so. This has been a recurring theme with Ralph and his drunkenness. In fact, I would say it's arguably his most critical flaw. Let's continue.
Ralph.
Are you gonna deny?
Your wife comes, she cuts you right in front of.
She doesn't. She doesn't live. She doesn't live in Sweden. She doesn't live in Sweden.
For money, so that you can buy your wife purses while she cucks you on Twitter.
She doesn't.
Are you
she
really
doesn't
gonna
live
act
in Europe?
like we don't have you on recording begging about
answer the question, Zoom.
Discount purse fucking store.
Answer the question, you fucking pedophile fuck piece of shit.
Purse. Do you think that Val didn't record you begging him?
I'm not gonna buy a $900 purse. That would be ridiculous.
You wanted your wife to go there before you PayPal'd her some money from those super shekels so that you could buy her love because she didn't respect you, and then she cucked you and made fun of you on Twitter and said that you were a pussy who couldn't afford to give her.
No, she was making a joke about a purse. I know you never see anything about your girlfriend. You spend thousands of dollars a month and you still never even fucking see her. Fuck off.
How does that make sense? He's broke and can't pay his rent, but he pays thousands of dollars.
You have a lot of nerve to talk about somebody's girlfriend when she lives over in Europe. You never fucking see her. You jack off to child pornography because you're a piece of shit.
You promoted that Chris Cantwell was taking callers on your show and making fun of you.
No, she didn't.
That's the kind of man she stands behind, right?
She didn't.
You're a real man, Ralph. You fucking.
Okay, show it. Show it. Show it.
There's no tweet of your own wife promoting Chris Cantwell?
No.
That wasn't posted everywhere? Yes, Chris Cantwell's taking callers? You sure about that?
Show it.
Let's go ahead and load up her. You're telling me at the time where Chris Cantwell was.
But I know there are conversations that you had with Andy Warsh. You were like, "Oh, sorry, I don't have enough money to move in with you guys because I'm having to pay thousands of dollars a month to keep my girlfriend up."
Do you have the
going down, buddy?
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, I have it.
I have our conversation.
And also.
Yeah, that wasn't that sound of Andy speaking in the background. That wasn't a technical error on my end. That's just a sound clip that Cog plays on his streams. And I've said this before, but I don't get the whole interrupt the flow of conversation with a sound clip that repeats every time someone does this. It's like it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, there's also something interesting here about Ralph and Zoom in this exchange. They're both admitting to secretly recording each other. Now, this is not really anything atypical for Zoom. Zoom doesn't really doesn't all that much pretend to be a white hat, but Ralph likes to say that he doesn't likes to present himself as not getting his hands dirty. Yet, I think he's making a big mistake here by saying that he was recording not only Zoom, but Zoom and the streaming admins. Like I think that's just dumb to be admitting to something like that. Like, if you're trying to enter some kind of business arrangement with someone else, and you just go ahead and record them without them knowing, pretty sure you're not going to get much business relations after that, or not in very amicable circumstances. And especially if Ralph's saying he's just going to use this against him later, that just means it was premeditated. So there's not really like some kind of benign reason he had to record those conversations, at least not to my knowledge. And the evidence of that is he's unleashing this against Zoom as a surprise. And honestly, I think that sort of tactic is just shitty. Like, really, like, again, it's just... But let's just continue from there.
you
and guess
asking
what?
me to move
I
in
also
with
have
and
you.
saying no.
I also have you on conversation talking to the streamy admin, saying I'm
I have
basically
you with the
using this
streamy
money to
admins
pay for my
begging them for
groceries.
money, saying that it's not fair and you need to
Okay,
get
so
dispatched off
you're
the
telling
site.
me? Let me ask you. No, it's not true.
Should I go ahead and
That's not
say
true.
that?
No, it's not true. You sent me a message and you said it's not fair.
I
These
have all of
people-
our conversations,
You said
Ralph. I
it's
still
not
have them to
fair.
this
Listen,
day.
are you gonna let me talk, faggot, or no?
No, I'm not gonna let you talk, you fucking beta male. I'll just talk
Okay,
over you. What are you
so
gonna do?
fuck you. Well, then I'll just keep talking over you. You
Okay,
sent
and
me
I'll
a
just keep
message and you
talking
said
over
it's
you.
not fair.
I didn't send
It's
you
not
shit.
fair.
Fucking
It's not
message
fair
you
for
said,
all
"Hey,
these
if you wanna
people
get
to
these
be
guys off the website,
restreaming
are
our
you down to work with me to
content.
get these guys
You
off
said
the
that,
website."
Ralph. You
You're
said
such a
that.
fucking liar.
That's not true. That's not true.
It's so funny. It's just like
He
how you
sent me
said
a
an
message.
FBI agent showed
No,
up
fuck
alone
off.
with a fucking lone female cop to take your fat ass
No, it was
to fucking court
Richmond
and
police.
with no warrant. And then they needed to have
Okay, so what are you gonna do when I have that? When I
They
have
don't
that fucking
need
piece of
consent
paper?
from you. They
Then
can just
fucking
take it.
post it, faggot.
Who the fuck are you?
Where's the paper? You said you were gonna post it 3
Yeah,
days
well,
ago.
I have to get it. I'm in Miami. I never had it. I signed it.
I know you never had it
when it
because you
happened.
never signed it. You're fucking full of shit.
No,
You're
I
on the
did sign it.
receipts. They
Okay.
don't need to have
So
you
what are you
sign
gonna
it.
do when I show? What are you gonna do when I show it?
You told me that there was an FBI agent there. I called an FBI
Yeah,
agent. They have
because
no
it's
idea
a
what the
fucking.
fuck you're talking.
Who gives a? Yeah, I know you're a snitch and you have a direct line to FBI
I know
agents.
it's tough for you
and the
because
only
I
reason
actually
you
have
didn't
a
go
real
to jail,
job,
the
unlike
only
you.
reason
I don't
you
have to
didn't
fucking
go to
rely on
jail
super
is
chats.
because you
I
snitched
don't have
on
to
all
rely
your
on
fucking.
super
You're
chats
a
like you
fucking
because I actually have a
snitch.
real
You're
degree
a
and a real
fucking
job. I'm
scumbag
sorry that
and
you're
you're a
upset that you're a
snitch
failed rank.
and you
What's
fucking
it like
turned
to
on
never
all
go
your
to high
friends.
school and finish
You're a
anything?
fucking snitch.
You couldn't
I
even
got
get
a college degree.
You
No, I
couldn't
do have a
finish.
degree.
Okay, so you get the gist of it by this thing. This basically to me sums it all up. Zoom seems to land on every single point. Ralph is kind of just being squeamish and it's Ralph. Like this is one of the rare times where Ralph actually confronted Zoom during this affair. Ralph's been hiding from Zoom, saying I don't want to talk to him. He's wasted my time. I already showed him being banned from his Discord along with the rest of the Plate Gang, and he can't handle it. It's very clear Ralph is in a very bad emotional state, and instead of just taking on the chin and walking away, maybe improving or just confronting Zoom directly when he's sober, he just kind of spurgs out and acts overly emotional. I know that it's because I think that Zoom had caught Ralph in a lot of his dirty dealings. Zoom helped him in some of those dirty dealings himself. He's admitted to this, and Ralph really doesn't have much of a defense, and I think that's why Ralph's basically headed in a downward spiral. He's not getting as many super chats as he used to. Apparently, the numbers on his YouTube channel when he live streams are inflated because of dispatch. Although I haven't take that last one with a grain of salt. I don't know if that's true or not. Someone who's more tech savvy can confirm that, or maybe just ask dispatch himself. I don't know if he'd have a real reason to lie about that. And yeah, it's not really going well at the moment. And something someone pointed out in the chat. Yeah, yeah, you're right, Miss Sad Song. Essentially, yeah, Ralph is doing this thing where he will be okay. He will take the charitable interpretation of events with Zoom and the pedo tapes, and then he'll take the uncharitable interpretation once it becomes convenient. When he wants Zoom on his side, when he likes Zoom, he'll say, "Well, the pedo out we can't really prove anything. It was just a bunch of things he said." But now he's just outright calling him a pedophile, saying that the LARPing excuse was fake, etc. So Ralph does this. Ralph is consistent with this. He likes to he likes to hold info over people, save it, and then use spring on them once they become a problem. It's something that people have been regularly recognizing, and it's a thing that e-celebs do a lot. I don't think there's many. I don't know. Is there any e-celeb that doesn't do this? It's not. It's again, it's a pretty shitty thing, but Ralph does it to a particularly alarming rate, and not to a point where it could be said that he changed his mind or whatever. Yeah, just reading from the chat here. Numbers from Crab numbers viewing a live stream don't matter. Yeah, I agree. Dispatch is wasting his money paying for bots to inflate Ralph's numbers since the stream is deleted immediately afterwards. Yep, something like that. Now, this was a couple weeks ago, and this leads us to the current events. I just want to play this to give some context to what's going on between Zoom and Ralph. There's also been a bunch of other things involving Andy and some other minor players, but I can't cover everything in one stream, and I want to get into the meat and potatoes of this, which is the swatting incident. Now, we're first going to play the swatting, quote unquote swatting. Keep on using that term wrong. Now, we're going to get this perspective from Zoom's end first, and then we'll get to Ralph. So let's play the Zoom bit first, and then we'll get to Ralph's part.
He's not gonna give me the win, guys. He's a new man. He doesn't care about me. It's not like he didn't just cuck to me for like months and suck my ever loving dick every single day.
What?
Now, there's a reason I'm playing it from this point here, because there's a bit of context that I want to be established here. Zoom didn't just do this sporadically. I think Ralph played something that actually got under his skin a little bit. Because this video that's being shown on the Ralph tour, which is an edited...
I don't get to him, guys. Can't you tell?
This video here that Ralph is playing, it's an edited clip of Zoom in a fight with another dude in New York someplace, and Zoom apparently wasn't able to hold his own, and he did these ridiculous moves, and he's been made fun of for it by a lot of people. And honestly, I think it bothers him, because whenever this comes up, he kind of has a negative reaction to it. He's not really chill with the whole thing. At least that's my take on it. So let's continue.
Yeah.
Here he is typing away, looking something up, presumably.
Oh, Brandon goes in. Missed. Zoom tells him he missed. Let's move up. To the left, Carmen. To the left, watch out.
Uh-oh. That was a vicious... What?
Oh, Zoom attacks him. Oh! Oh! Oh!
Yeah.
Brandon caught him with a nice left hook. Oh! Oh, Zoom attacks him. Oh! 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 Brandon caught him with a nice left hook. Almost took Zoom down. Oh, Zoom.
Hold on a minute.
There we go. That was on. Whose channel is that? Mr. Low Volt. There you go. I see Dame in the green room. Let's bring him on. Dame Pesos, how you doing, sir?
Ah, Ralph! Ralph! No, he's saving! Saving! Ralph! Ralph! He's over, man.
This is when things get a little bit
Richmond
funny.
Police Department's Division of Emergency Communications. If you have an emergency, please hang up now and dial 911. The following 6 options will help us direct your call. Please listen to the following choices before you make a selection. For non-emergency police response, press 1.
Wait while I transfer your call.
Richmond Communications, Ampi speaking. How may I help? What's the address? And you say you're not feeling well tonight? What's going on?
She keeps telling everybody that I'm not a real man because I can't afford to buy her purses, and I'm feeling really down about myself tonight. People keep commenting on me and telling me that I'm not really that entertaining on YouTube, and my channel's just not getting a whole lot of traffic anymore. I'm just so distraught. I don't know what to do. Can you please send somebody out to check on me? I don't know what I'm gonna do if if people don't watch my channel.
Okay, do you have any weapons on you?
Yes,
What type of weapon do you have?
I have my right.
Okay, this is very important. Keep this in mind for later.
In my left fist, and I also have a sushi knife that I use to make food sometimes when I want to have some sushi on some toast. My mother has a kidney problem, so sometimes I try to make her sushi to help with her health, but nothing I do is helping, and all these trolls are just getting to me, and I can't take the people trolling me. And they keep talking about how I'm not the most famous guy on the internet anymore, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. They keep saying I sound like a dolphin. My name is Ethan Ralph.
You say Ethan Ralph?
Yes.
And how old are you, Ethan?
I'm 34. I've never even gone to college. I'm just such a failure. I tried to get a political science
Just because you
degree.
didn't go to college don't mean that you're a failure. What's your telephone number?
My current number is it's just me and my mama and a couple other people, and I'm not feeling too down. I'm really good friends with Detective Mary Gary Ford, and you think maybe you could send her over here? I want to go ahead and I want to admit that I did have everything that I lied to her about on my computer, and I can't deal with the lies anymore. I just need to come forward.
Okay, you said Detective Mary Gary?
Yeah, Mary Gary Ford. She's with the Sova ICAC division. Can you please send her over there? I need to desperately.
Okay,
I need to confess.
Listen to me, Ethan. Ethan, I'm not quite sure whether she's working tonight, but I did put in a call that you want to speak to Detective Mary Gary. Okay?
Yeah, can you tell her that I want to admit that I did have all that stuff on my computer, but it was at the one at the other house, and I'm just lying about everything, and I can't lie to my fans anymore. I tried to tell people that the Richmond police sent the FBI there, and I don't know why I was lying. Just please send help. I can't do this anymore. Nobody's watching my show. Nobody's watching my channels. I'm sitting with this Brazilian guy, and all he's doing is laughing. The guy just keeps going, hee, and I just can't take it anymore. I can't stand his laugh.
Ethan? Are you on a computer now?
Yes.
Okay, won't you get off the computer?
I don't know how to get off the computer. I'm a streamer on YouTube. I can't walk away from the computer.
I understand that
it's too hard.
Can you log off? Can you log off?
I don't know how to log off. I've never had to do that in my entire life. I just walk away from the computer and get some liquor.
Okay, well, we don't want you to get no liquor. You can walk away from the computer, okay?
I drink every day. Can't you tell? I drink because I'm unhappy, and I'm unhappy because I drink.
Okay, are you intoxicated right now?
I'm always intoxicated. I can't remember the last time I was sober. Sometimes I like to close my eyes and imagine that I'm back with my people in the ocean.
Okay, Ethan, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer you over to paramedics, okay?
Okay.
And I want you to speak with them. Do not disconnect. Hold on for a second. Ethan, you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Hey, don't disconnect.
Sean, how may I help you? Go ahead and speak to the paramedic.
Hello. I'm just really distraught. I'm having a bad night. I'm not getting as many views as I normally get on my YouTube channel, and I'm just feeling suicidal.
Okay. And what's the address you want us to come to? And how old are you?
I'm 34. My wife constantly hits on other black gentlemen in front of me, and I don't know what to do because I'm not a very strong man, and I don't know what to do. My wife doesn't respect me. My mother mocks me because I can't get a real job. I just sit all night reading articles on YouTube, and it's just not making me as famous as I hope it would. Don't you understand? I'm supposed to be famous. I used to talk to Sargon of Akkad, but now he won't even answer me. He won't even make fun of me anymore. And Mr. Medicare, he won't even come on my show.
Okay. I have a few questions, okay? Are you feeling violent?
No, I'm just feeling very low about myself right now because I just can't find anybody to take me seriously on the internet.
Okay. And do you have a weapon there?
Yes, I have my left and my right hand, and I also have a sushi knife that I use to make food sometimes. It's over here by my computer table.
Okay, keep that in mind as well. This is the second time he mentioned the sushi knife and having a weapon.
Where are you right now?
I'm sitting in front of the computer, and my wife's in the other room talking to her boyfriend. These trolls are getting to me. The walls are closing in. I'm not making as much money on super chats anymore.
Okay. Are you thinking about committing suicide?
Yeah, I can't pay the mortgage anymore. They're going to foreclose on our double wide.
Okay. Paramedics have been on the way since your very first call. Stay in the line. I'll tell you exactly what to do next. For now on, don't have anything to eat or drink. It might make you sick or cause further problems, okay? Just rest in the most comfortable position for you.
The most comfortable position for me is being in front of a computer screen, okay? You can't take me away from my streams.
Okay. I'm going to stay on the line with you as long as I can. If anything changes, let me know, okay?
Okay. Nothing's changing. My views just keep going down.
Okay.
No, I can't do this anymore.
Okay. Do you see the police there?
No, I just see the fact that I'm dust in the wind, just like my channel. I can't do this anymore.
No, but then I realized we didn't have any fucking control.
No, let me play it. We're at
Okay, so that was Zoom's end of things, and we'll move over to Ralph's end of things soon. Just gotta say that was a well done performance by Zoom. That was pretty funny. But I'll get my thoughts on the whole thing in a second. So let's just move over to here, and this is on Ralph's end of things. About the time when the cops come along.
Like I have so many fucking things that I wanna put in the video, but then I started with a Jan Turk segment on the Ireland shooter or the mimer of whatever.
Yeah.
And I ended with like 10 minutes.
Okay, right there you can hear a dog in the background barking. I don't know if that's Ralph's dog or his mom's dog or if it's a neighbor's dog, but I believe that dog is in response to the police pulling up. So let's press play again.
Minutes of just that, and I'm like halfway through, and I'm doing a video on the CNN reaction. Fucking the Young Turks. Young Turks! check, Huger didn't show up at all.
Now wait, have we seen?
Show up.
Have we seen what they've said tonight? Have you checked Huger's Twitter or anything like that?
Yeah, I tweeted a couple of clips. They have new evidence that can indict Donald Trump.
Oh
They
no!
have it. They have the new evidence. It's totally real, you guys. Donald Trump is done. He's done, motherfucker.
Oh God! It's soon. I mean, it's certainly going to happen. Now, let me ask you while you're here, what do you think about Soygon running for European
Oh my gosh, Ralph really has the most annoying laugh. Like he either needs to stop laughing at shit or he needs to work on that. Like if you're like if your laugh is that bad, then just stop. Like seriously, it's not your thing, Ralph. Just don't do it.
He's on his way to abort UKIP. UKIP won't survive the coat hanger.
Oh my God.
He's gonna fuck them. He's gonna fuck them. He went and says, Ni GGER. I didn't say, Mimo. I didn't say it. I didn't say that.
Okay, give me one
but
second.
He said that shit all the time.
Scratch, can you take over for 1 sec?
What's up?
Go ahead and take over for a sec. Can you do that?
I could try.
Okay, go ahead and try.
Oh shit! It's the revolution.
Okay, so at 2:13:54, he gets up to leave.
You're taking over.
Yeah, I know
Then the two co-hosts talk for a bit, and we'll just jump ahead a bit to about head to the 1506.
Other account.
Do you want to? Are we going to continue this video? Is that what we're doing here?
Oh, we have to watch it all.
I think so. All right, so we're at 3:45, so I guess we'll go from there. Ready?
Yes.
All right. Oh wait, you know what? I don't have Ralph's thing. Fuck!
I'm back.
Okay, Ralph is back at around 2:15:32, I believe, or 30 or something around that ballpark. I counted the amount of time that Ralph was away. It was about 98 seconds, and this will be relevant in a bit.
Back. How you guys doing?
Oh, I was ready to do a recreation.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Trump is done. It's over tomorrow.
Okay. We were gonna try to continue the video, but then I realized we didn't have any fucking control.
No, let me play it. We're at 2:48. That's
2:48.
Yeah.
I guess I got a little ahead of you guys somehow. But all right.
Yeah, I'm on 2:48. You guys ready?
2:48 it is.
All right, let's continue right now.
And we're off.
The state elections in Virginia and Oklahoma earlier this month show what could face Republican incumbents nationwide next November.
And I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. Okay, let's see.
More of a rallying cry to Democrats.
Nope, just a little bit more. Just go.
I'm trying to be nice. I don't, I
don't really hate her. I just kind of feel bad for her now at this point.
No, that's not the wrong. Yeah. Okay, that is
wiping out all the sleaze bags and emboldening and empowering the victims. It seems impossible to believe that some claim.
Complete fucking idiot. I'm gonna go ahead and play the rest because we're.
The resistance from last March 14th was quote Russia.
Okay, I don't have the timestamp on this one. I should have had that ahead of time, but thing is, Ralph whines that he got swatted and that the police showed up to his door and it was horrible, it was awful, and he tweets this out on Twitter. Let me go get that. Corey Barnhill, aka Zoom, aka Godspeed, swatted me live on air. He failed. LOL. I shook the cops' hands. They left, and I continue the show. Also, if you're defending an obvious swatting, I don't want anything to do with you. And please stop watching my show. LOL. Now, firstly, Ralph, why are you shitting on the audience? It's just I don't get it. It's like that's just rule number 1. Don't do that. They're gonna turn on you, and for good reason. Like that's the only reason why you're able to make all this money that you've been making. Like whether it's the 6 figures claim or it's a one or even if it's a few $100s is because of them. You should be kissing their ass and thanking them, frankly. So going ahead and saying, don't watch my show if you disagree with me, that's kind of retarded. And the other thing is, Ralph's trying to play the victim here by saying, if you're defending an obvious swatting, like this was like the worst thing in the world, that Ralph got prank called and he had to get up for a minute and a half to go tell the cops that he was being trolled on the internet. No, Ralph, you're not a victim. Like, this is a normal thing that streamers have to deal with. Now, do I think that Zoom was correct in doing this? No. But Zoom making a prank call is just like to encourage a wellness check is still a prank call. I don't think it's like the issue I have with it is he's wasting police's resources and money that realistically should be going elsewhere. Like, for example, if there's a case of where there's an actual danger and they send 2 of their guys out to check up on Ralph based on bullshit, yeah, that could be a problem. But is this as bad as Ralph is making out to be? Not by any measure. And this is a guy who's on record saying that when my enemies go low, I go lower. So I don't think that Ralph has any leg to stand on doing this victim narrative bullshit. And also, funnily enough, I'm not the only one who thinks that. Because, let's see, let me pull this up real quick. Yeah, here we go. Let's see what, because there's a couple people in his Discord that disagreed with him. I'm going to show some of that. Right here, this user, Dr. YouTuber Bulger, says, it wasn't a SWAT, it was a wellness check. People have different opinions and comments on it. Some of them agree, some of them disagree as the conversation continues. But what we're really interested in is what Ralph has to say. And this is where things get interesting. Drink bleach, Dr. YouTuber. I don't want you around if you're defending obvious swatting. So say your last comment and leave. Now, like, this is a common thing that Ralph does whenever he gets mad. He always goes for the go kill yourself approach, but he fails to do it in a comedic way. So it just comes off as really angry more than anything else. And then he says the absolute state of these faggots, or don't say anything, leave anyway, your choice. Like, as though like the last comment means anything. And then Dr. YouTuber responds in kind, can't handle some criticism, bro. And then Ralph said, that's it, LOL, and he presumably bans him with this farewell. Which just shows that his Discord has become a complete hug box. If you dare criticize the gun, if you make fun of the Ralph-a-Vale, then you're out. That's it. And he's not going to allow people to stay. So this is the attitude he's taking. He's not comfortable in his own skin. He needs to have a well-contained place where he has yes men like Gator telling him that everything's fine, everything's great, and surround himself by people that are just going to agree with him. And all this is going to do is enable the same downward spiral of behavior where Ralph is just going to keep his ego on an absolute all-time high, and it's not going to, like, the only way that Ralph can possibly stop this spiral is if he takes a dose of humble pie like he did when he returned to YouTube and chill the fuck out. Like, that, I can't really say anything more to that. And I don't think he's learned his lesson. He claims he has. He claims he's learned it multiple times, just like he claims he's going to lose all that weight one day, which I guess maybe if he ends up in prison again, maybe then he'll lose a ton of weight. But like the weight staying on his body, he's not going to get rid of this chip on his shoulder either. Anyone defending that is straight up getting banned immediately. Call it what you want, but it's been stated now, so go ahead, so I can get it out of the way. LOL. Being critical is fine. Defending that shit is not, and it's my Discord, so I don't have to put up with it. LOL. This is the absolute state of Ralph at the moment. And like, I just want to, like, let me see who's reacting with this Pinochet meme. They're not important. It's like, the cops themselves were cool. They came in for a sec. I told the deal and shook their hands and they left. But this is the thing. He's acknowledging that it wasn't that big a deal. But he wants to make it out to be one so he can just get rid of whoever he wants. It's just more E-celebs doing the same song and dance with their victim narratives. So yeah, that's pretty much how the situation with Ralph went down for the most part. There's just one other thing that needs to be shown here. Or a couple other things. A couple of reactions that I noticed after this incident. A few people that were just said some things that were kind of dumb, stupid, to varying degrees that I think is worth highlighting. And most of this happened on Twitter. We'll save that one for last. We'll start with this one. A character that we haven't get an opportunity to meet yet, but deserves mentioning because she's a Spurg, and I think Spurgs are worth highlighting from time to time. Punish Kitty, aka Bad Tits, because she likes to take the persona of the center-right degenerate mom that validates your degeneracy. That's Punish Kitty for you in a nutshell. Weird how a lot of the same people that were outraged at Ian swatting Andy are now either silent about or excusing the same thing being done to Ralph, almost like they're disingenuous fraggles that just want to cling to a persona. Well, no, this is bullshit because those are not the same thing. What Ian said about Andy was that Andy was not just a cokehead, because that part's true. Andy is a cokehead, but he said he was smuggling coke, like he was part of a ring or something like that, through his house, and black arms, and he was a schizophrenic. He said all these things to the Canadian police, and unlike what Zoom said about Ralph being suicidal, that is something that the SWAT will knock on your door. That is a big difference between these two things. Ian's transgression could have potentially gotten Andy into a lot of trouble. I mean, granted, it could be argued, as I've argued in the past, that the chances of, say, Andy actually getting killed by a swatting attempt are very, very low to almost nothing. But nonetheless, the intent is still clearly very different. And Bad Tits continues. And yeah, I'm referring to Mr. Anti-Bully and Nick Rekieta, two who were all over the Andy shit, but have said fuck all about this, even though it was definitely worse. Now, this is where things get a little interesting, because I think Rekieta makes a couple of mistakes here. The first mistake was he actually responded to this nonsense here. I think that he should have not done that, but it doesn't really, in my opinion, it's not a good look, in my opinion, what happens next. He responds with, I have no idea what's going on. I've been working 12-hour days on the other things. What's up? Zoom sent the cops after Ralph for the third fucking time this month. This time to his home, telling them Ralph was armed, drunk, and suicidal during the stream last night, and is now trying to pretend it was just a prank / wellness check, bro. Ralph, and then this other person responds with, Ralph keeps saying he was swatted. He wasn't at all. Now, did Zoom call as Ralph and this is a bit of a garbled sentence here, so forgive me. Now, did Zoom call as Ralph and claimed he was in need of paramedics for suicidal behavior? Yes. As a viewer of the Ralph retort, I don't know why everyone is acting like these antics are beneath Ralph, because they're not. Rules are for thee, but not for me. And that's not such a bad point. No one at all should be feeling sorry for Ralph in this. If Zoom called and impersonated Ralph, that's quite possibly a crime. I am ethically obligated to suggest that no one engage in such an activity. Now, this is where one of two things is true here. If this is true that he's ethically obligated and he has to say something because it's part of his legal law profession, then I really can't blame him if he has to disavow here. On the other hand, when he says he's ethically obligated, this is not a legal professional standard, and Rekieta is just saying this because, well, that's just his opinion or whatever. I don't know which is the case, but if someone who's a little bit more legal savvy, particularly with the state of lawyers in Minnesota, or hell, if Rekieta by some chance wants to clarify the record himself, then by all means, go ahead and tell me what the deal is with this here. Let me just keep reading. Weird. I'm just going to mostly skim over this because the rest is not really important in this thread. But the one important thing is that Bad Tits does present the evidence of what happened here. So let me just make sure that's the right link. Give me a second. Yeah, this is the correct one. Okay, so what happens next is Rekieta says the following. Then Ralph should look into getting a restraining order against Zoom. That clearly borders on harassment, if not dives right in. Stop wasting law enforcement time and putting people in danger over stupid internet drama. Now Zoom says something in response, but this happens a bit later in the time frame, so we'll get to this in a bit. The the thing that happens here, and the reason why Rekieta's in the title of the stream, is because he decides to do a 180 on this after Jim says something. Now, Jim says the following. Are you under the fucking impression that I owe people something or that I can be shamed into talking about something I'm not even paying attention to, because that doesn't work. In fact, it usually has the opposite effect. CJF. Now, while Jim has a point here, he doesn't like I don't know. I'm kind of like, this isn't really a good response to this, because what Jim should say is that they're not the same thing. This is completely different. These are two different cases. And then he can follow up with, I don't take orders from you, but he's not even addressing the point. And I don't like this idea that, oh, well, you're just demanding I make a video about this, and that means I won't do it because I don't have any kind of standards to uphold. I'll just uphold everyone else's standards. But when it comes to myself actually abiding by them, no, I don't have to, because I'm an edgy nihilist, bro. By the way, furries are degenerate and they need to be purged from the internet. Also, pedophilia is wrong, and the skeptic bags are all a bunch of cunts who are completely two-faced and aren't honest about all their dirty dealings. But totally don't care. Just a nihilist. It's a bit of a contradiction on Jim's part, and I don't think that he's ever And again, maybe I'm just wrong about this. Maybe because I know the majority of people have a different take on it. But I don't know. I don't think Jim can take or handle criticism, because he always seems, whenever it comes up to him, he just either finds a way of evading it or just attacks the critic every time. Jim, and then there's more of a back and forth here. And this is where it gets interesting. No whining that I simply must comment about the newest shit going on. Otherwise, I'm terrible. Oh, one other thing before I continue. It should be noted that this part here, I'm not even paying attention to, that Jim says. The part where he claims that, he has no knowledge of this. He tries to absolve himself that way. That's not true. He has been paying attention to this, because he commented about it just last week about Andy and Ralph getting into it. And he's also admitted before that he follows various image boards, including Cow, which is actively talking about this. So, no, I'm not buying that that Jim is just in the dark about all this, and then Bad Tits was the very first person to bring this to his attention, and he just didn't know. I don't buy that excuse slipped in there, and it also weakens his argument here that he doesn't have to do anything, because there's also this side argument here that isn't true and doesn't make sense, because if he doesn't have to do anything, it doesn't matter if he's aware of it or not. So I think that's also worth mentioning as well. But moving on, this is the part where things get interesting. No whining that I simply must comment about the newest shit going on, otherwise I'm terrible, is you stomping your feet. Maybe that shit worked on Nick, but it won't work on me. Now, this is the part of interest here. Maybe that shit worked on Nick, because Nick looks at this and says, I'm new at this. Teach me. Now, this is a little weird, because if we go back before, he claimed that if Zoom called and impersonated Ralph, that's quite possibly a crime, and I am ethically obligated to suggest that no one engage in such an activity. So, why is he saying, because Jim said something, that, I was wrong because I'm not cool enough or whatever? What does that have to do with this? Because if he has an obligation to do something, does being an entertainer override that? That doesn't make sense to me, and honestly, observing this, it's if I hated Nick, if I was one of these progressive types that was just not just disagreed with this case with Vic Magona, but wanted to ruin Nick Rekieta's life over it, and maybe Vic Magona's life out of it, I'd highlight this heavily and just try to discredit him entirely using this kind of logic he's operating with. But again, I don't get this attitude that, Jim says something, so it's time to do 180 on what I just said, just because he said it. And, I've noticed that a lot of these slips have done that. And it just seems, I don't know, it just seems like they don't have any balls. They don't have any conviction or standing for what they actually believe in. and they'll flip on a dime. And this is another example of this. Now, is Rekieta the most guilty of this? Like, honestly, I don't want to dislike the guy. I've said that before but is he the worst? Not by a long shot. And honestly, mostly for the most part, if the worst thing he's done is, he wore blackface as a joke one time, then honestly, that makes him squeaky clean compared with everyone else. But this is still something that's, like, I don't know. It's just, to me, it's not a good look, and I don't think this is the right approach to things. And there's also another bit about this. Zoom makes this reply here that doesn't make a lot of sense. That's not what happened. Bad Tits is just a sad barren boomer who lies as much as Ralph does. I mean, there's some truth to that. She is a sad barren boomer, and she, I don't know if she's an active liar, but she will say a lot of shit. Well, yeah, she will say a lot of shit to defend Ralph even when he's wrong. Like, for example, while she's calling out Jim for being a hypocrite for not addressing the situation, at the same time, though, she won't address the fact that Ralph has been condemning the gay ops shit and the doxing shit that Kraut was up to, but has been proven to engage in it himself, or at least tangentially been engaged to it in the case of the doxing. So there's not real, so yeah, she's really living in a glass house there. No one said Ralph was armed. A sushi knife to make sandwiches at his PC all day isn't a weapon. Bad Tits needs to stop dragging Nick and Jim onto this. They don't care. And then Nick responds with, "Thanks for clarifying. I'm out of it." But this doesn't make sense because, again, we go back to what Rekieta said. If Zoom called and impersonated Ralph, that's quite possibly a crime, and I am ethically obligated to suggest that no one engages in such activity. He didn't say, if it crosses this threshold when it goes into swatting, or, when it involves misrepresenting that someone has a weapon. But wait a second, that also brings up another point. Zoom isn't telling the truth here. No one said Ralph was armed. A sushi knife to make sandwiches as PC all day isn't a weapon. No, that's not true, because he twice, to two different officers, when they asked him if he was armed when he was impersonating Ralph, he said he had the sushi knife in response to that very question about being armed. And as far as like a sushi knife not being able to cause any serious damage or being used as an implement of suicide, why don't you take a look at this? I'm pretty sure this knife, maybe I'm wrong, maybe a knife expert can come in or a cooking expert can school me on this one, but this blade can probably puncture a few arteries or something along those lines. I don't think you can't not slit your wrist with this, at the very least. So, yeah, this could potentially pose a harmful danger to someone who is actually suicidal. So, no, that's clearly a lie that Zoom is telling to make himself look better in the situation, probably so he can keep up his relationship with Rekieta and downplay the entire thing. That's what really bugs me about this. It all comes down to the networking. You've got to rub shoulders with the right people and make sure you get invested with them. And on that note, there's one final thing I want to show on this note. There's a couple other things I wanted to get to tonight, but I'm going to save it for future episodes. So there's also something else that makes me call into question Zoom's character entirely, and I'm going to play this clip here.
All right, Zoom, did you ever imagine after Knoxville that this would be fucking going this way?
Yes.
You did? Was this your master plan?
I knew Ralph was weak. I just needed to weaken him to the state where I could take him out once and for all.
Did you use Andy to get to Ralph?
For every fucking trick that I've ever baited him.
Yeah, but did you use Andy to get to Ralph?
I told you guys after you had that stream where you all came at me, I was coming for all of you.
Oh.
And look at you guys now.
Wait, which stream was that?
The big stream where there was like 10 people screaming at me and my girlfriend. I told you guys. I wouldn't forget. The North remembers. I said I was going to come back.
Your girl? Was I there?
No, you weren't there.
I definitely
Andy
wasn't
barely
there.
even talked.
I don't know what this is.
Andy barely even talked, but it was for a long time, Ralph was a dick to me. Tonka was a dick to me. I don't forget. This is all planned. Okay. I told you guys I was going to come back.
Zoom is like a cow. No, it's an elephant, isn't it, with a good memory?
I just want to point something out here, guys.
It's an elephant.
Zoom and I think, both have autism, but I am strictly retarded. Zoom has the
You know, fuck this. I'm gonna walk down the street and fucking apply.
Okay, so there you heard Zoom just say that he's been holding a grudge. He's been planning this. He's been expecting things to go to shit. He's been going up, pulling every trick he can on Ralph and he fell for every one of them. And he's been doing this for a year. Like, he told Ralph multiple occasions he was on his side. He defended him publicly. He covered for him. He did all these things for Ralph, and then he just. Well, it wasn't just a case where they had a falling out, and Ralph was just a total dick about it. And then Zoom decided, oh, well, all right, if that's the case, two can play at that game. That'd be one thing. But this whole falling out that Zoom had with Ralph, he planned it deliberately. He gained his trust, and then he went after him. And he said he's been doing this to everyone who was involved in the stream that went after him. So, yeah, Andy, if you're somehow listening to this, Zoom's not your friend. He's playing you. You are being played by him because you made fun of him because he did a stupid pedophile LARP, and people found it, and they made fun of him for it, and it upsets him. That's Zoom. Like, I'm sorry, but that's true, and it's a shame because I actually like some of the stuff Zoom's been doing. I did enjoy the fact that he exposed JF as being a rapist. I did enjoy the fact that he exposed Josh for some of his shenanigans, which we'll be getting to later. But he's not doing this with noble intentions. He's doing this because he has an ego, just like the rest of them, and he's doing the same sort of shit, and that's the way I call it. So, yeah, that's how I see it. I don't know. Maybe you guys disagree. Maybe you have a different take on some of this stuff. Before I close out the stream, though, I'm going to be reading the chat, and then I'm going to call it a night. Let me just go from the beginning so I get everyone. He should have. Crablike says he should have cut Zoom off the second he came onto the scene, and instead gave him publicity, just like Kaga's doing, and it will bite them all on the arse. I think that's in reference to Ralph. Yeah. Like, from Ralph's standpoint, he probably should have done that. But then again, I'm not really, like, honestly, in many respects, Ralph is worse than Zoom. Or at least arguably so. There is no Corey Barnhill on a sex offender registry in the U.S. That's true. It would be public info. There's nothing that doesn't make him there, but there are no pedo charges. Now here's the thing about the pedo tapes that I want to comment on. I don't think that the pedo tapes are legit. And the reason I don't think they're legit is because, one, Zoom has a history of trolling, and he's been doing this consistently. Two, Zoom's also very good at impersonations and acting and such. He has that ability to do that. And three, if you actually listen to the tapes, he actually refers to himself as a demisexual at one point. I don't think Zoom would, even if, like, that's got to be a troll. Like, there's no way that Zoom is that, like, unless there's some kind of other collaborating evidence with this, I don't think that that's something he would seriously say. And the other thing is, like, the three clips that were taken out of context, and we don't have the full stream of that. So when it comes to the pedo stuff, unless there's some other evidence that shows otherwise, I don't think Zoom's lying when he says it was a LARP. I think he's just really upset that those tapes became very prominent. We need a gun emoji. I don't know how to set up. I don't know if YouTube allows custom emojis, but if we can get them, I'll be adding a gun emoji for sure. We need officially licensed gun collectibles. I don't think, like, I mean, no, I can't. Like, I think pretty sure that's a joke, but I think the moment when you start monetizing memes, they kind of die. Let's see. This is there's some discussion on the bots. While it's a waste of money, he's not wasting much money referring to Dispatch, I believe. You've seen how cheap this is from Maximum Jenkin. Cheap bots can be, right? I was actually kind of surprised when I first found out. Crab-like response. It's still a waste of time. It makes Ralph look good to have more live numbers. Jenkin responds with, I agree with that regardless of who is doing the botting. Ralph's got the bots working on his behalf, and it's not a good association to have. Sad Song responds with, funny thing is, at least Zoom fought Ralph. Ralph's been talking tough for a while. Yeah, that's true. Like, that's what that Zoom pointed out. Like, Ralph tries to act like a tough guy, but he's, like, you can step on Ralph. If you're taller than 5'5", you have no reason to fear Ralph. Period. That's just the reality. Jem Kim says, I think Zoom said yesterday or the day before when he said Dispatch confirmed he bought Ralph's stream that it was only like 300 bots at the time anyway. Crab-like response, YouTube don't care if bots are used unless it is to steal ad revenue. Jen Kim responds with, I'm not the most educated on all the different ways creators make money on YouTube, aside from ads played on videos or paid sponsorship, so how can bots steal ad revenue? Inflating audience numbers results in more money for the channel/streamer. Crab-like response, people buy bots on normal videos, so the bots watch adverts and they get money from that. Jem Kim responds with, all right, didn't consider that, thanks. Conversation kind of goes on for just a little bit longer. Let me just get some other people's in. Good evening, Naomi Diaz says, who wishes me good evening as well. Crab-like also adds, yes, streams don't get adverts, so it's a total waste of time and money for Dispatch. All he ends up doing is making Ralph look more popular than he really is. Plus, Dispatch is coming across as dishonest to me. Yesterday, he said he bought him 300 bots, and today on Cog Stream, he said it was 100 he bought. Asterisk 1000. More discussion of the bots. Let's see. Let me read some comments from some other people. Okay, Snobbyline says, it sucks that Ralph's trying to make it sound worse than it was by saying swatting. Yeah, that's true. Ralph is nothing without Medicare. Don't disagree. Or at least at this point, yeah. I think it's been proven that Ralph really can't hold his own without Jim either on stream or perhaps possibly guiding him. Which may or may that last bit of speculation on my part. I don't know if Jim ever offered Ralph any kind of behind the scenes advice, but given that back when he was cool with Tonkasaw, he gave him advice, as the leaked recording showed when they had a discussion. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. And I think Jim knows the internet a bit more than anyone, especially when it comes to things like YouTube. All right. Let's see. And give me 1 second, please. Okay. And then there's rumors about Bad Tick's fucking Ralph. Well, there's rumors and allegations of that. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, Ralph, and that she denies it, but I don't know. That'll probably make Nora very upset if it's true. So make of that as you will. Naomi says, why Jim hasn't been vocal about all this? Has he? I can only speculate. I mean, personally, I can't help but think that the guy just I don't honestly, I can only speculate as to why that is. I've gone over that before, but I don't think Jim. I can think off the top of my head, one possibility is Jim doesn't want his head lopped off. He doesn't want to get caught in the dumpster fire himself. And the other reason is maybe he still feels some camaraderie with these guys for whatever reason. Although Jim claims he doesn't have internet friends, maybe that's not quite the case since he tends to say some people are better than others and associate with the good folks from the bad. I don't know. I mean, maybe Jim just doesn't give a fuck anymore about it. That's also a possibility. And part of me goes, yeah, I really can't blame him for that, given a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of the online movement faggotry failed. In fact, I think that movement faggotry at this point is just retarded. And like a lot of the streams and shows he tried to set up, like all the people he boosted and tried to help along, they crash and burn. So maybe he just depresses him and he just wants to get out of it. And if that's the case, I don't know if I can really fault him that much. The one thing I wish he would do, though, it doesn't matter what my opinions are about any of this. I just wish he'd just make a video again or do streams again. Because at the end, because he is an entertaining guy, and like if Jim's only problem is he didn't do enough, well, okay, whatever. Like I'd still watch his stuff. He hasn't really done anything cunty as far as I'm proactively malicious, as far as I'm aware. Like the people he's went after, they all deserve it. I can't think of a case of where he went after someone who didn't. Like they were either people who confronted him directly or people who were just pieces of shit or degenerates. So I just wish he'd go back to making content. Yeah, it's another thing. Jim has been slacking on Photon. That is actually something that. Actually, yeah, that is another thing. I don't like that Jim has his Patreon set up and he's not updating anymore. Like, there's nothing in the month of March as far as I'm aware. Like maybe at the very beginning he did a couple streams, but if you're paying Jim on Patreon this month, don't just cancel it because Jim made zero content. Like, if the guy isn't making anything at all, you're getting nothing in return for giving him money. So why are you giving it to him? I don't understand that. Jim doesn't have online friends. He really isn't obligated, even if he follows everything. Bad Tits should go suck a gunt. It's an op to get Jim to take his side. Yeah, it might be. Bad Tits might be trying to get Jim to take one side or the other. I think Nick sees her. Robin Williams says, "Oh, we have Robin Williams in the chat. How about that? I thought he was dead." He says, "I think Nick sees her intent, and that this whole thing is a trash fire. Thus, he's taking the fast way out. Possibly. Honestly, honestly, I just leave it at what I don't know. It's just honestly what Nick said. He could have just left it at that. When I first saw it, I thought Nick was just parting ways with Zoom, but apparently no, he's not. I don't know why. My only guess is like, again, I think it's because of the whole networking package. That's the only conclusion I can draw from that. All right, let me just. All right, I think I'm reading way too. I think there's been a lot of them, so I can't read every single one. But those who pay attention, we knew this was coming. They're all hypocrites. Yeah, most e-celebs are hypocrites, and not just like they've done one or two hypocritical things before, but they just actively violate their own supposed principles, or they fail to uphold them, or something along those lines. Just they don't really have standards. That's the thing about it. Zoom got buddy, but then lashed after Ralph banned him. It's quite possible that he's greatly exaggerating his foresight. Yeah. Yes, I do have a Twitter at JMKACC. You can contact me there. Armas Fowl says the dumpster fire conga line continues. Yep, it's quite a ride. This all started because, the weird thing is, speaking of that, remember this whole thing started because Andy took an issue with because JF took an issue with JF got mad at Andy, going after hearing about Andy again, and then Andy fired back at JF, and then this escalated into and then Coach Red Pill disavowed, and then Geek Cthulhu disavowed, and then it became this huge thing. It's not like last time when IBS fell apart. It's different. This is a slow burn as opposed to a quick one, and I'm not sure how. I think there's gonna be a restructuring involved with that network. I think that there's going to be players that rise up and fall. I think Nick Rekieta is winning big in this because he's not getting heavily invested with this dumb drama shit. And by that I mean he's not personally getting involved. He'll still cover it here and there, but he won't make himself the target, which is smart. And instead, he's focusing on bigger things like the Vic Magona stuff and his legal show, and he's trying to make. And also another person that's coming out on this top of this one is Cog. He's also making a show. He's basically coming. Like what Cog is doing essentially is copying Ralph, but he's trying from what I can tell, he's trying to be a bit more honest than Ralph is. I think Zoom will also win out in the end of this. I don't really see him falling. I think that people are too. Again, I don't think people have balls to actually say Zoom is wrong on X, Y, or Z. I think that they're just, for some reason, they'll fear a guy who can make phone calls. Like that's literally all he does: phone calls and Google searches. Like this guy isn't this badass that he makes himself out to be. He's just a dude. I don't get why people would be afraid to say, no, dude, you're wrong on this. And let's see. Like I was saying, was all part of the plan after. Zoom was around Martin Shrell and Billy the Fridge before he became a character in IBS. Billy the Fridge, Martin Shrell. I can't keep like. All right, if you can tell me who those guys are, maybe then I can make a comment on that. But I don't know who those guys are. His internet lore seems to go way back. Yeah, he has an ED article, and it's like dated like apparently 10 or 12 years or so. Medicare introduced me to this whole IBS corner. Yep, he heavily. Jim promoted it. I think it. I'm not fooling Jim for I'm not fooling Jim for promoting IBS or anything like that. I'm glad IBS existed. In fact, I wish that like the bashing of the skeptics would have continued into 2019, but apparently because IBS has this habit of turning in on itself, it just paralyzes itself, and they can't go after any of the skeptics because they're still pieces of shit. Sargon's still a piece of shit, and they're all people that like they're worse than these people because, well, maybe not worse in some cases. Like for example, Ralph. I think like while it made sense to go while boosting Ralph at the time made a lot more sense, and it did seem like for a moment that maybe Ralph was going to have a new change of face. If he was acting a lot more humble back then, it did make a lot more sense to promote one of their enemies rather than just going ahead and not because of something else. That's okay. I'll just type it out in chat. Someone's asking for my Naomi's asking for Twitter, so there you go. Okay, so there's been a few more comments I want to get to. IBS Season 3 will be the last one. IBS is already dead by mid-2018, though. It won't be dead, but it'll take on a different form. Like, IBS hasn't had the same form. It's shifted and evolved. In fact, I'd argue that IBS has kind of always been a thing. Like, back in 2015, I was doing IBS stuff. Guy named Verilo was doing IBS stuff. In fact, Ralph was doing IBS stuff back then, too, as other people I've mentioned before. Like, we'd have issues with people. We'd say, hey, let's hash them out. Let's go on stream and we'll talk about it like adults. Or maybe like children, whichever the case may be. And we'd argue about it, and we'd have fun doing it, and other people joined in. That was where it really started. No, not even that. I'm not even. No. That's wrong too, because I think people setting up live streams to have debates or fun arguments or free-form types of formats like that, or intellectual MMA, as JF would say, that's been going on forever. So the blood gods have always been around. They've always been a thing. It's like Cthulhu. They've always been there. Like, you just didn't realize it. Moving on. This keeps them on their toes and doing their job. Yeah, I think that where I diverge from a lot of people is like this idea that it's just gay YouTube videos. Like why are you criticizing this guy? Like you should just chill and relax. I don't think that just because they're gay YouTube videos that means no standards. Like obviously, well, if they're literally homosexual, then well, obviously they're trash and don't need standards, can be just dismissed. But in general, videos should have these. Like there should be honestly. Okay, if that's the case, if all is just gay YouTube videos, then realistically, what did the skeptics do wrong? What did any of these people that we take issue with do wrong? What did anyone at Zoom or Ralph or Jim or any of these other characters that have an issue with, what did any of them do wrong if it's all just a bunch of videos strictly for entertainment purposes? If these are people who are just like, and well, Jim would say like, and honestly, I don't care what like Ralph would say at this point, and Zoom would probably have like a very long, overly long legalese type of reasoning for it, which may or may not be contradicted later. Not sure, but Jim would probably say, well, the real sin is they weren't honest about it. They should sin and sin boldly. And I say, no, the sin should be avoided in the first place. You shouldn't, the crime shouldn't be that you were hiding it. The crime should be, I mean, that should be considered itself an issue, but it should be that doing certain shitty things is not tolerated. Like, period. Like, I don't get why these guys have, like, I don't get why these guys have to, like, is it because they fear being wrong? Like, is it because Jim has done some things that are wrong in the past, or any, like, it doesn't even necessarily have to be Jim. Is it because that people that take this attitude that the crime is being, the cover up? Is it because they've done something wrong in their lives? Like, maybe it was intentional, maybe it was unintentional, or maybe it's been something they used to regularly do, but they stopped. Is it they fear something they've done on the internet and their e-cred is going to get ruined? I don't know. I'm kind of speculating there. That's a generalization. Correction. This all started with Kraut and Edgy, since the rate of attrition has rapidly increased over the course of a year and a half. I don't know. That one has been going on for a while. I mean, both those characters are just. I don't know if I can trust either. Like, honestly, I don't know what to make of either one of them. Like, clearly, Braving Room was right about a lot of issues. The skeptics. Kraut was right about a lot of issues. About at least, well, I won't say a lot, but at least a couple of points and a couple of characters on the quote unquote alt-right side of things. He'd probably go along with his SJW progressive friends and say, "Oh, it's because they're part of the alt-right that these things happened." When the idea, like, that's not accurate. That's not true. And that part I wouldn't agree with. But, like, as far as that feud goes, I don't know. That just seems to be just one part of this. It doesn't seem to be the whole of it. Like, there's a whole bunch of issues the skeptics have done that I don't see a lot of people talk about. Like, for example, and this is something that I have to say that this is something that Zoom had brought up. So credit where it's due. Sargon is like, I think I may have mentioned this before, but I'll just mention it again because it bears repeating. Sargon, back in 2016, 2017, he got sued for copyright infringement by this, like, SJW chick because he just straight up ripped her video and just retitled it and said, oh, that was commentary such criticism. Now, how did this play out in court? Because he raised a huge, like a shitload of money. I don't have the figures with me, so I won't say a number, but he raised a ton of money for it, hired a lawyer for it, and he was going to fight the system and get away with it in court. So what happened? Because we've never ever heard about this again. Well, apparently, he didn't, he lost the case. He had to settle out of court and pay her a sum of money so he wouldn't have the humiliation of losing a lawsuit, which means all that money he raised to fight for free speech, to fight for copyright improvements, to defend fair use, it was all a lie. It was all a fraud, just so he could pay his legal bills and get out of trouble and save his ass. Like, that alone should be a career killer. Like, if there were standards, this wouldn't be tolerated. People would be like, fuck you, I'm not giving you any more money, you don't get a dime from me ever again. And in fact, and further, this wouldn't even have happened in the first place because people would be smart enough to know not to pay for YouTubers' legal fees. Like, don't ever do this. Like, if you see anyone beg for money for a legal case, don't give it to them. They should be able to pay for their own bills and should be considered charity cases. Not these e-celebs, not any of these people that are just trying to make a buck on the internet. They already get enough money in donations just by making content online. Well, presumably, if they're actually even doing that. They have GoFundMes that, I don't think the GoFundMe should be a thing, but they have Patreon accounts, they have PayPal, they have Streamlabs, Super Chats, T-shirts. anything that they ads on their videos on top of that. They have all this means of making revenue, and then for personal expenses, they have to make a sad story to say, oh no, I fucked up, I made a mistake, or something bad happened to me, please pay my bills. This is the gayest shit, and it needs to die. It just needs to go away, and honestly, if that could happen, like people just said, no, we're not paying your goddamn bills, that would be great. And honestly, this is one area where people like, and this is one area where I don't think it's really the YouTubers who need to have a standard in place. I think the people should be upholding the standard themselves. Like if you see someone talking about donating to one of these, GoFundMe's for legal cases, or they're like some gay Kickstarter campaign, just make fun of them. Like seriously, they don't deserve respect. They're people who will gladly fork over money for no reason. They are pay pigs. They deserve to be mocked. And like some people have argued, and it's hard to argue against this, that the people exploiting them, they're just taking advantage of a market. So yeah. Okay. I think there's. I can't. Okay. All right. So there's a few more of these I'm going to read off, and then I'm going to close out. I can't really take one side between the JF and Andy thing. Both are to be blamed, but JF did start it, no doubt about it. No disagreement there. Yes, many forget that this actually started with Kraut and Shit Rats, Berging out and Edgy. Yeah, I remember that. Like they're retards. Martin Shirley was the guy who got famous for increasing. Wait for that. Robin Williams says dedicating a show to a chaos god. Well, why the fuck not? Aside from the fact that's blasphemy and forbidden. Moving on. Martin Shirelli was the guy who got famous for increasing the AIDS meds in 2016, if I remember correctly, and Billy the First, the host of the Drunken Peasants. What? Okay, I do not have context in that. That is in like. I don't know anything about the Drunken Peasant stuff. All I know is that it's run by a bunch of degenerates who are also fedora tippers, and they mostly say a bunch of stupid shit. And every once in a while, well, no, not even that. Like, if they ever do happen to say something that is coherent, someone else said it elsewhere, better, smarter, and more coherent. So, I generally don't pay attention to their show, but they might be worth looking into, because I know that TJ is just he shoved a banana up his ass. Like, no, I'm not, and that's not a metaphor. He literally did this. He hosted yeah. I don't think I need to say anything more about the guy actually now that I think about it. All right. After the show, please check your DMs. Thanks. Sure. Yeah, I was mainly talking about the IBS community that came out of the Kraut arc, and yes, IBS has been kind of a thing around since on the internet. I don't disagree on that. Okay, that closes things out. Again, like if I got anything wrong, if I misrepresent anyone, like maybe I got some fact wrong that made someone look worse than they actually are. Maybe I said something that was stupid or mistake or by mistake, like or whatever, or whatever it may be. You can contact me at my Twitter at JMKACC. You can leave a comment in the on this channel on the VOD, or you can join the Discord and you can talk to me there. All right, so peace out and have a good night.